Thank you. I call case 23W0235, proceeding on motion of the Commission as to the rates, charges, rules, and regulations of Liberty Utilities, New York Water Corp. For water service. As I said, my name is Tara Kersey. I'm an administrative law judge for the Department of Public Service. With me today is Chief Administrative Law Judge Dakin Leakakes. Together, we are responsible for presiding over the hearings in this case and developing a complete record throughout the proceeding. We are here today for a public statement hearing that was noticed on August 23rd, 2023. The hearing concerns proposed changes in the water delivery rates and practices of Liberty Utilities, New York Water Corp., or we'll refer to them as well as the company. The company filed amendments to their water tariff schedules on May 4th, 2023, proposing to increase their revenues by $39,745,567, or 34.24% on a consolidated basis across its two service areas, Service Area 1 and Service Area 2, for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2025. This includes the consolidation of the rates of the company's Seacliff and Whitlock service areas with the rates for Service Area 1, with a corresponding elimination of the incremental property tax surcharge that Seacliff service area customers currently pay. The proposed rates will increase the average residential monthly water bill by approximately $18.32 or $18.32 for current Service Area 1 customers, $15.74 for Merit customers, and $7.37 for Seacliff customers. Under New York State law, the Public Service Commission must consider utilities' proposal and may adopt or reject it in whole or in part or modify it. We are holding this hearing so you can provide your comments on these proposals for the Commission's consideration. The Public Service Commission will decide what the company's terms and conditions of service will be. The Public Service Commission has 7 members, the chairperson, Rory Christian, and 6 commissioners. The 6 commissioners are Diane Berman, James Alisi, Tracy Edwards, John Howard, David Valesky, and John Maggiore. We are fortunate today to have Commissioner Berman attending. Would you like to address the participants, Commissioner?
Oh, thank you so much, Judge. Yes, this is Commissioner Diane Berman. My role here today will really to be an active listener. I appreciate everyone who is participating and look forward to hearing your comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. This hearing is to provide the company's customers and other interested persons with an opportunity to tell the Commission your thoughts on the company's rate proposals. All statements you make today will become part of the case record. We have a court reporter joining us who will prepare a transcript of the hearing, which will be included in the official record of this proceeding so that your comments can be considered by the members of the Commission. When it is ready, the transcript will be available for view on the Department of Public Service website. This hearing is not a question and answer session, but a forum for the commissioners to hear your comments. Please note that this is not the only opportunity for comment. If you are not speaking today, but you would like to provide comments, you may do so by submitting those comments on the department's website, by email, regular mail, or by phone. Regardless of how the comments are submitted, they will be given equal consideration. Comments may be submitted and will be considered throughout the pendency of this proceeding. If you have registered to make a statement, we ask that you please summarize lengthy written statements orally and submit the full written statement by email or mail. Because of the number of people who've registered to speak, we ask that you try to stay within a 4-minute time limit for your oral comments today. There are people who registered and are participating electronically. and there are people who registered and are participating by phone. In either case, you should only have audio input from one device, otherwise you may experience problems with feedback. I will call the persons that have pre-registered one by one to speak. If someone is not available when I call them, I will continue with the next person, and I will come back to those people who are not available at the end. For telephone participants, when I call out your name, I will ask you to hit *3 on your phone so that we can recognize you and unmute your line. It may take a little while for us to locate you and unmute your line, so please make sure to wait until you hear a beep or are notified that your line has been unmuted before you speak. If you have muted your own telephone, you also will have to unmute your line on your end. For the people that registered electronically, after I call your name, we will unmute your line. You should hear a tone and see that the microphone icon is no longer red. Please be reminded that if you put your own telephone line on mute, you will also have to unmute your line before you begin to speak. Please speak slowly and clearly so that the court reporter can accurately capture your statement for the record. When your line is unmuted, please state your name, and if you are speaking on behalf of an organization, the name of the organization. Once we confirm that we can hear you, you can proceed to make your comments. Our first speaker is Fred Harrison.
Mr. Harrison, if you are a call-in user, please press *3 on your keypad so that I can identify you and so to make your statement. Thank you.
If Mr. Harrison's not on the line at the moment, we'll come back to him. Our next speaker is Patricia Mayer.
Mayor, once again, oh, sorry, if you're on the line, please identify yourself. So press *3 so that I can locate you. Thank you.
We can come back to Ms. Mayer as well. Our next speaker is Lori Wheelock.
Wheelock, you've been unmuted. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioner Berman and Administrative Law Judges Lee Cakes and Kersey. My name is Lori Wheelock, and I'm the Executive Director and Counsel for the Public Utility Law Project. We go by PULP for short. PULP is a 40-year-old nonprofit with the mission of educating, advocating, and litigating on behalf of New York's low-income utility customers. PULP thanks the Department of Public Service for the opportunity to testify today in relation to Liberty Utilities' water rate case. PULP is an active party in the rate case. We filed direct testimony on September 7th, and those comments focused on general affordability concerns we have, as well as our main proposal, which was the need for the company to roll out its affordability program within the first year of its new rate plan. I'd like to start by highlighting that PULP's advocacy is not limited to electric and gas cases. Since the pandemic, our direct service team has seen a stark increase in the calls for help to our hotline for customers struggling to pay their water bills. In many of the cases, we've helped customers review their usage and apply for the low-income water assistance program. PULP sometimes hears in general conversations that water bills are usually the lowest of all the utility bills, so it should be easier for people to pay. But the truth is that when someone is struggling to even pay that water bill, it doesn't mean that they aren't struggling to pay all the other entities and bills and things like mortgage, rent, food and medicine, and in particular utility bills, because every cost is significant. The increase that Liberty is proposing is real money to real people. As mentioned earlier, the company's costs could be increased anywhere from $7.37 to $18.32 more a month. This increase is also not to be considered in a vacuum. Pulp feels that it's extremely important to highlight that some Liberty customers may also be natural gas customers through National Grid, where there's another rate case there with significant increases. Focusing back on water, Pulp does want to take the opportunity to thank the company for proposing both an arrears management program and a discount program for its low-income customers. However, Pulp is concerned that the company wants to wait potentially 3 to 4 years to start a low-income discount program. Customers need help now, and Liberty can learn from National Grid and their energy affordability program, as well as PSEG Long Island's HAP program. For ease, our direct testimony really focused on Grid's energy affordability program, since National Grid is directly regulated, as is Liberty, by the department. But the truth is that either the Home Assistance Program, HAP by PSEG, or the Energy Affordability Program by National Grid provides workable models with consistent, efficient ease that will help Liberty put together a program right now to help its low-income customers. Pulp thanks the department again for the opportunity to participate in the rate case and to speak here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wheelock. Our next speaker is David Dennenberg.
Mr. Dennenberg, you've been unmuted. You may proceed.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Dave Dennenberg with Clean Air, Water, and Soil. I'm a co-director. I just want to state that I'm actually here with Claudia Barecki as well. So when it's her turn, you have to unmute me because we're working from the same location. So Clean Air, Water, Soil opposes this proposed rate increase by Liberty Acquisition. I think that the numbers that are stated are deceptive. The impact monthly would be 17% in Seacliff, 39% in Lynbrook, 42% in Merritt. When Liberty acquired New York American Water in January 2022, which was a stock acquisition, and their stock has been soaring ever since. An issue that still has not been resolved, but the governor at the time and the current governor was lieutenant governor, as well as the ombudsman looking at this issue, really did state that a review of assets and who actually owned the assets of these municipal monopolies that operate under the regulations of the or guidance of the Public Service Commission really needs to be considered. And my point would be right here, right now, Liberty seeks to recover infrastructure improvements, and they seek to recover 100% of any expenditure plus an amount for profit. They could call it return on equity, they can call it return on revenue, but they make profit on the backs of the ratepayer, which is allowed by the Public Service Commission for any infrastructure improvement, any quality improvement, any 1,4-dioxane improvement. Again, they're recovering more than 100%. So if the ratepayers have to pay for any of these infrastructure improvements or any of the water quality improvements, then the ratepayers should own that asset. And what we just saw from the Public Service Commission, and the Liberty acquisition was closed in January 2022. Obviously, someone's paying a lot for the shares of New York American Water and now Liberty, and those shares are going up in value because for some reason, assets that the ratepayers are paying for are being listed as company assets in their public records. And this really needs to be addressed. So I would say, let's address this and stay this proposal to understand who really owns these assets, number one. Number two, there was a 2-year freeze on rates when Liberty acquired the company. Near as I, New York American Water, near as I could C, that 2-year freeze would have included 22 and 23. So they're jumping the gun. Let's stay and wait until the rate freeze is over before you give a prospective rate increase. And the style of the Public Service Commission, no insult intended, is always to say, well, we cut what Liberty or New York American Water or ACWA asked for. So it's almost a game, and the only one who loses in the game is the ratepayer, because Liberty is asking for 42% in merit. And the Public Service Commission and staff will claim victory if it's only 21%. 21% of record rates, the highest rates in the country, and higher than anyone else's rates in Nassau County by at least 3 to 4%, and record profits. So any increase on top of record rates, record profits, is yet another Public Service Commission guaranteed record rate that the ratepayers have to pay, and that Liberty and its shareholders will gain. Liberty wants to recover that during COVID it only made 2% profits, as opposed to the Public Service guaranteed 9.7%. All of us suffered in COVID. And Liberty, if someone was late in paying because of COVID, supposedly gave people a break. They're trying to recover late payments for anyone who didn't pay on the backs of every other ratepayer. So everyone suffered in COVID except for Liberty. Liberty wants you to make them not whole, but whole plus 9.75% and these late fees, because they only made 2%. Most importantly, as you well know, the Public Service Commission put in terms in the Liberty Act order allowing the order approving the Liberty acquisition for South Nassau Water Authority, the North Shore Water Authority, and Massapequa to negotiate for a public acquisition. A timetable was put on where the company supposedly has to act in good faith. I think under their license or charter with the state, they always have to act in good faith. And these good faith negotiations may not have moved as fast as the ratepayers would like to see. And I think it's almost a joke for any elected official at the town of Hempstead or Nassau County level to say they're outraged about this proposal. What's outrageous is that those officials and their appointments to South Nassau Water Authority have the ability to stop this craziness. The outrage can stop, but the outrage from every ratepayer is how slow South Nassau Water Authority has moved. But we all were at a public meeting in July of the South Nassau Water Authority where council has been retained, a controller, a treasurer controller has been retained, and a company, the same environmental company that did the feasibility studies, was retained to come up with an offer from South Nassau Water Authority to Liberty. Let that process go. Stay this. Do not fold over and give yet another rate increase and let Liberty recover more of its costs for infrastructure, which we should own if we're paying for it, but Liberty will use to try to get more money in negotiations with South Nassau. Let the negotiations that were approved by the Public Service Commission, that the people are crying out for, that the governor said was long overdue, and the governor signed laws creating these authorities. Let the process continue. South Nassau Water Authority, only 2 months ago, almost to the day, in a public meeting, I believe it was July 11th, 12th, and 13th, said that they are making an offer. They're going along with the process. When we spoke of the timetable and that we are upset that they haven't moved expeditiously, They said the timetable was just a timetable. It's difficult to move within it, but they have moved forward. They did the steps according to them that I told you. I think they should have had public meetings a lot more between November 2021 or February 2022 when they were fully constituted and July 2023. But that notwithstanding, if these negotiations are going, and if Liberty had agreed to a 2-year rate freeze, and the Department of Public Service signed on to the order allowing the acquisition, approving the acquisition with the timetable for a public takeover and negotiations and a price freeze, stay this, at least stay this, if not reject it, and tell the company to come back when the process is done. And hopefully we never have to hear from them again, because we haven't been told by any of the authorities negotiating that their process is complete. Let them complete the process. You approve that process. And timetables should be reasonable, but Liberty by law, by their charter, have to negotiate with good faith. Trying to stick in a rate increase while there's still a freeze and while these negotiations are still ongoing, and particularly a rate increase to recover for expenditures made during the freeze, or for not losses, but not as much profit made during COVID, when most of the people you're supposed to represent really struggled during COVID, is to you, is truly outrageous against the existing order and the rate freeze in that order, and against implementation of a public takeover as the governor required and as was in the order. Stay this or reject it. Tell Liberty to come back after good faith negotiations for the public takeover, and tell them to honor a freeze as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dennenberg. Our next speaker is Claudia Barecki.
Okay, I'm still on this, I'm here with Dave. So I'm going to say, at the onset of the last rate case, the Public Service Commission did not consider public acquisitions because they claimed it was hypothetical. That is no longer the case. The North Shore Water Authority, the South Nassau Water Authority, and the Massapequa Water District are in the process of negotiating acquisition of Liberty's Long Island operations. Continuing with the notion that Liberty will be supplying water to Long Island for the years petitioned in this rate case flies in the face of the newly formed authorities' ongoing negotiations and actually jeopardizes successful acquisitions. I, on behalf of LI Clean Air, Water and Soil, request that the Public Service Commission suspend this rate case as proposed. It is outrageous that Liberty can purchase New York American Water, promising to freeze our rate for 2 years, only to then petition to get back all the profit that they believe their shareholders are entitled to. While ratepayers struggle through a pandemic with high unemployment and rising costs, Liberty is complaining that it only made 2% profit instead of its guaranteed 9.75%. So now it wants to raise its rates so that it can make up for the lost profits and force ratepayers in good standing to pay the late fees and reconnect fees that it forgave during COVID to the tune of $6 billion. That's right, good payers are being punished for paying their bills on time. Late fees are pure profit. It has nothing to do with the treatment or delivery of our water. Cause asks that for those late fees truly to be forgiven, with the understanding that none of Liberty's CEOs lost their jobs during COVID, nor did it need to let anyone go. Liberty shareholders made $26 million profit last year alone. The least it can do is to truly forgive the late fees and be happy with its record profits. Yes, and cleaning the 1,4-dioxane from our wells is very expensive, and Liberty needs to build facilities in the Merrick District. That is a big reason why our rates in the Merrick District are increasing by 42%. However, but Liberty never tells you that as a corporate utility, it is not eligible for state or federal grants. So the ratepayers must pay it out of our own pockets. That and the fact that there are over 5,000 company-owned lead pipes, mostly in the Lynbrook district. That's another great expense that brings the Lynbrook rates up to 39%. Again, what Liberty does not tell you is that it is not eligible for grants from Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill, which intends to remove all lead pipes in the country, but not for us. We are stuck with a profit-driven utility who are asking to add 7% profit on every capital expenditure. CAUS filed 35 pages of testimony with the Department of Public Service in opposition to this rate case on several other issues, too numerous to mention here. The bottom line, we ask the Public Service Commission to suspend this rate case while negotiations for a public takeover are underway. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barecki, for your comments. Our next speaker is John Reinhardt.
Reinhardt, you've been unmuted. You may proceed.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Can you hear me now?
We can now, yes.
Okay,
Thank you
sorry
so much.
about that. Not a problem. Okay, good afternoon. John Reinhardt. I'm a board member of the South Nassau Water Authority. We have filed our comments in written form regarding this rate increase. I just wanted to go on the record here quickly to reiterate some of the comments that have been made and reiterate the comments that we made in our written testimony, namely that the South Nassau Water Authority, along with the North Shore Water Authority and the Massapequa Water District, have been working diligently since our creation to come to a term where we can negotiate in good faith with Liberty for the potential takeover of their assets. As has been stated, this was outlined in the original joint proposal, the acquisition of Liberty of the New York American Water assets. The South Nassau Water Authority has submitted an offer letter to Liberty and is awaiting a response. Liberty has cooperated to date with providing us materials, and I believe at this point, as has been stated numerous times, a stay on this rate case and this rate increase while these negotiations continue in good faith should be put in place to protect the ratepayers in the South Nassau Water District, as well as the North Shore and the Massapequa Water Districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Our next speaker is Supervisor Saladino. He may not be on the line at this point, but I wanted to ask to see if he is present at this time.
Supervisor Saladino, if you are a call-in user, please press *3 so that I can identify you so you can make your statement. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call on the next participant. Our next speaker is Sept Kozlow.
Mr. Kozlow, you've been unmuted. Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Sept Kozlow. I am a Merrick resident and a father of 3 young kids in Merrick. The reason I'm here speaking today is because I'm concerned about the fact that, first off, that we're even here, because had the South Nassau Water Authority did what they were directed to do or created to do, the Public Service Commission would not be asked to hold this hearing or make this determination. We're in a position now where the Public Service Commission has to protect citizens of these counties and these districts that are under threat of these increases. And I'm asking the Public Service Commission to stay these increases for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we're talking about water here that people need to survive, to wash themselves, to bathe their families. It's an everyday utility that we need, and we should not be placed in a position where, with inflation increasing and jobs and job pay decreasing and people struggling to make ends meet and pay their bills, they might be in a position where their children are going to go to school without being bathed, or they can't provide water for their children to drink at the table simply because they're struggling financially. It's a serious concern for residents in Merrick, where I live, where our rates are already very expensive. We pay nearly triple what our neighboring town of Freeport pays, and they have municipal water. It's unreasonable to think we're going to pay significantly more in Merrick based on the fact that a private entity is looking to tax us, or rather profit off of us, because they have the ability to. The South Nassau Water Authority was supposed to create the public takeover, or ensure that the public takeover happened so that we avoided this. But more importantly, I think the reason why the Public Service Commission should stay this rate increase is because of the fact that we're not asking the stay to happen in a vacuum. We're not asking for the stay to happen in a position where we'll see what happens. As Mr. Reinhardt said earlier today, it seems that the South Nassau Water Authority is finally taking steps, albeit we don't have the paperwork on that, but finally taking steps to effectuate a takeover of Liberty Water, which they were directed to do a couple of years ago. With that in mind, and with a potential agreement in the works, if these rates are not stayed, it could affect the ability for the takeover to happen. It would empower Liberty to then say, well, you know what, it doesn't make sense for us to agree to the takeover. We're making too much money. Because there's a potential deal in place, and because of the direct impact of the community members who use Liberty Water, it is imperative that the Public Service Commission protect us and ensure that we're not paying through the roof for a utility that we need on a day-to-day basis for everyday survival. That is why I'm asking on behalf of myself, my family, my neighbor, and my communities to ensure that the Public Service Commission reject, or at a minimum, stay the increase in these rates so that South Nassau Water Authority can attempt to do what they were directed to do and take over Liberty Water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlow. Our next speaker, we're going to go back. Our next speaker is Fred Harrison.
Mr. Harrison, once again, if you are on the line as a call-in user, please press *3 so that I can identify you and you'll be able to make your statement. Thank you.
We'll call our next speaker, Patricia Mayer.
Mayor, if you're on the line as a call-in user, please press *3 so that I can identify you and locate you so you can make your statement. Thank you. Your Honor, I saw her earlier, but I think she may have dropped off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Then this is the end of our pre-registered speakers thus far. At this time, we'll open up the proceedings to anyone else who wishes to comment. Please use the raise hand icon if you are on the computer, or use *3 if you connected via telephone and you would like the opportunity to speak.
Your Honor, we have one raised hand. I'm going to unmute them.
Great, thank you. If you would just state your name.
Good afternoon.
My name is. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Mita J. Meriday, and I thought I did register to speak via phone, but this is fine. I appreciate the opportunity, Your Honor. Again, my name is Mita J. Meriday. I'm founder of Veterans Entrepreneurial Development Initiatives. I'm also a member of Long Island Cause that is so faithfully led by Dave Denenberg and Claudia Barecki. So most of the details have been so eloquently illustrated by them. I'm pleading to you on behalf of the thousands, and I say close to 50,000 underserved veterans and their families in this location who have been critically and detrimentally impacted by these increases. We continue to fight to keep our military on board, and when they come home, they get treated like trash, particularly in this location. I am appalled that Liberty Water, which we fought to get a change from the previous water regime that we were forced to be under through meetings, hearings, and all of this, that they're coming to the table basically with the same playbook. That's appalling to me, as I'm dealing with the fact that we have close to 40 veterans that are committing, attempting to, or thinking seriously about killing themselves and intentionally taking other people and their families or the community as well. We have a town board that took their time, dragged their feet to put a commission in place that was authorized and ordered by our governor. They have no respect for the rule of law or the common decency of their neighbors. And now we have to come here to beg you to help us to keep the flow of evictions that now with the moratorium has been lifted is impacting our veterans, our seniors, and our young people who cannot afford to live here. This is appalling that I now have to take my time out of my day to try to address veteran suicide and debt and help widows to stay in their homes, that I have to take the time to be a part of this call to plead with you to do the right thing. Let the South Nassau Water Authority do the work. They were delayed in getting started because the town of Hempstead took their sweet time to make their appointments. That is not our fault. We should not bear the brunt of their irresponsibility. I am begging you all to hear what I have to say, because now the blood of our military is in your hands. We are living in a toxic environment, and that includes our water. Between the dioxins, the PFAS, I am so upset right now. We have a polluted sound. We have a polluted ocean that surrounds this island. And now, again, the pollution that's coming through from our elected officials that is permeating through our country and this region, it's enough already. So if there's someone out there who is listening and understands what is happening on the ground level, and I'm a 9/11 first responder. So yes, I am truly elevated today because we're coming off of the memorial service from 22 years ago of a terroristic act. And I feel that right now, what is being done to residents is another form of environmental terrorism. And trust me, with the prevailing conditions that I have to face on a daily basis because of my exposure and the mismanagement and misinformation from federal agencies, I will fight to my last choking breath to fight for the rights of those who continue to be underserved, largely our veterans, our senior citizens, our young people, and those with physical challenges. So again, say it, stop it, do what you need to do, but most importantly, do the right thing. And keep up the good work, Dave, Claudia, and all the rest of you who stood up to speak today, and for those who speak later today. Now I have to go into Queens, into the COVID hotbed to try to save some more lives as best as I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Would you, Ms. Meriday, could you just spell your name for the record for us, please?
T-A.
Yes.
Sorry, it's M-E-T-A.
Great.
Middle initial J, last name M-E-R-E-D-A-Y.
Thank you for that, and thank you so much for your comments today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who, either of our pre-registered, I think we were still looking for Mr. Harrison, Ms. Mayer, or if there's any other speakers who weren't registered but who wish to comment. Please use the raise hand icon if you're on the computer, or *3 if you're on the telephone. Okay. Please note that Joseph Saladino, Town Supervisor for the Town of Oyster Bay, has requested an opportunity to comment, but notified us that he will not be able to make the call until 2 p.m. In recognition of his important service to his Oyster Bay constituents, we have agreed to hold the hearing open for his comment at 2 p.m. We will go off the record now while we wait for Supervisor Saladino. In addition, if one of the commenters signs on that was not on earlier, we'll go back on the record to take their comments as well. So we are off the record.
We are off the record, John.
Thank you. We are just looking to see if Ms. Patricia Mahar, who is a registered participant, if she is on the line. And if she is, if you could just press *3.
I do not see Ms. Mayor. I did reach out to her and let her know that if she wanted to come on, we would, take her next, or that she would be the first speaker tonight. She has not responded yet.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Also, is there, if anyone else who was not a pre-registered speaker but who's looking to comment, if they could use the raise hand icon if they're on the computer, or *3 if they're on the telephone right now, we could go back on the record and take their comment.
So far, I do not see any raised hands, but I am on the lookout.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very
Otherwise,
welcome.
we will be back on the record at 2 o'clock. Hi, this is Judge Kersey. We are still waiting for Supervisor Saladino, but if there's anyone on the line that would, who wishes to comment, who hasn't spoken, I'm just going to ask if Fred Harrison is on the line, Patricia Mayer, or Richard Kuzami, or anyone else that would like to speak. Please use the raise hand icon if you're on a computer, or *3 if you're on the telephone, and we will open
Judge
it up.
Kersey,
Yeah.
Supervisor Saladino has just joined.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so first of all, I want to make sure we need to go on the record. Mr. McLean, are you ready to go back on the record?
Yes, Your Honor. We are back on the record.
Wonderful. Then we are on the record. And again, this is with respect to case 23W0235, proceeding on the motion of the commission as to rates, charges, rules, and regulations of Liberty Utilities, New York Water Corps for water service. Supervisor Saladino, are you on the line?
Supervisor Saladino, you've been unmuted.
Wonderful. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. We were trying to become unmuted, and thank you for doing that. Let me know when I may begin.
You may begin right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you to the members of the PSC for allowing me to provide testimony today. Good afternoon. I'm Town of Oyster Bay Supervisor Joseph Saladino. On behalf of one of the largest townships in America, representing over 300,000 residents, many of whom are customers of Liberty Utilities, formerly New York Water, I urge New York State Public Service Commission to oppose the proposed rate hikes now being requested by this private water company. It's absolutely outrageous that this has continued to be allowed. The consumers of Liberty Utilities continue to be overburdened, overcharged, and asked to pay astronomically greater amounts than those who reside within the boundaries of municipal water districts. Together, my colleagues on the Oyster Bay Town Board, along with the New York State Assembly and State Senate representatives, we expressed serious concerns when the Public Service Commission approved the sale of American Water to Liberty Utilities in December of 2021. We feared that this sale would perpetuate an inequity caused by private for-profit water supply, and we were right. We're here again. Liberty Utilities cannot, and I repeat, cannot continue to be allowed to go unchecked. They cannot be allowed to gouge their consumers with another rate hike, especially one as outrageously large as this. We're looking at a 13% increase for the North Shore of the town of Oyster Bay and some 40% increase 40% increase on the South Shore. If we were experiencing an emergency like a hurricane, for instance, and a business increased its prices by 40%, they would be arrested for price gouging. No question of that. And here they have the goal to ask for a 40% increase. No one is getting that kind of increase in their day-to-day, in their jobs, in their salaries to make up for that increase. It is gouging and it is wrong. To be clear, the service provided by Liberty Utilities is no different than that provided by local municipal water districts. And side-by-side comparisons clearly demonstrate a great financial disparity forced upon residents serviced by Liberty. And why? We can only assume that this private company is using its ratepayers to deliver profits to its shareholders and to its corporation. This unfair, unjust, and inequitable treatment of residents must stop. We urge you to take a stand on the behalf of the people of the state and not on behalf of this for-profit company. Water is necessary for life. It should not be used as a pawn in this profit game. It is outrageous and it is wrong. The customers of this utility, a utility that should not be a luxury, are being taken advantage of and treated unfairly. The purpose of an increase of nearly 40% to consumers who already pay some of the highest water bills in the nation is simply wrong and outrageous. This must stop. We can't urge you any more strongly. I served in the New York State Assembly for 14 sessions, nearly 14 years. And the message by members of the majority and the minority over and over was one of protecting our residents, protecting our quality of water, ensuring that it is plentiful and affordable. This slaps the face of every member of the New York State Legislature who has worked for water that is plentiful and affordable. This is wrong. Safe, clean, and affordable drinking water should not be a luxury. Drinking water should be a dependable resource within financial reach of all Americans. To do otherwise is outrageous and is wrong. Sadly, that is no longer the case in areas of New York State serviced by Liberty Utilities. Please do not make it more difficult for families and seniors and people of all ages to afford drinking water simply because they live within a community serviced by a private water company. The governor has made it clear time and time again about the affordability of life on Long Island, even to the detriment of potentially hurting the suburban quality. This hurts the affordability for Long Islanders. A rate increase like this will be more pain put on top of the already too expensive rate of living we experience here on Long Island. It is wrong. It is outrageous. And every resident who are the consumers of Liberty Utilities plead with you to say no to this outrageous water price increase and any other rate hike they ask for. They must live within their own means. At this time, the state has foisted upon water districts so many costs to make sure they're filtering out all of the emerging contaminants that are found in water. And this price is too much on an already very expensive lifestyle type of living and expense in terms of utilities to our residents. On behalf of the residents of the town of Oyster Bay, I join with my colleagues on the town board in representing our communities and asking you to immediately deny and reject any and all rate hikes requested by Liberty Utilities. This is very important, and we must all come together and take on the responsibility of saying no to this and any other rate hike by this utility. I'm Town of Oyster Bay Supervisor Joseph Saladino, and I thank you for this opportunity to provide very important testimony as I walk in lockstep with our residents and water users. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. This is the end of our pre-registered speakers. We will take this time to make one final opportunity to open it up to anyone else who wishes to comment. Again, please use the raise hand icon if on the computer or *3 if on the telephone.
I do not see any raised hands, Judge Kersey.
Thank you so much. I want to remind members of the public that they may submit public comments throughout these proceedings by the other means described earlier and in the notice of public statement hearing issued on August 23rd, 2023. We will be holding additional public statement hearings this evening, starting at 5 p.m. Judge Leacakes and I want to thank the commenters for their participation. We also want to thank Commissioner Berman for being present, our Consumer Services Office for administering this session, and our court reporter. The hearing is concluded, and we are off the record.
We are off the record, Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks.